Nkosi sikeleli Afrika, maluphakanyiswa uphondo lwayo, yizwa imithandazo yethu. Nkosi sikelela.
People. It was necessary that all the section of the people should be interviewed, be organized, so that they can then bring their demands. The Congress of the People organizers and the leadership, in fact, had invited, apart from the ordinary masses, had invited all organizations in South Africa, including, for that matter, the Nationalist Party of Dr. Malan and the United Party. They were also invited to attend. But of course, they feared to present themselves to the masses. They never attended. There was also the question of organizing rural areas, farm laborers. Not only the rural areas and the farms, the factories, the mines. Although the South African laws do not allow mine workers to be organized, but in this instance, the organizers of the Congress of the People made it absolutely clear that at least they were going to organize the mines. And the workers in the mines were contacted, and their demands were also recorded. And therefore, insofar as the organization of the Congress of the People was concerned, insofar as we absolutely felt that at least we have covered the length and the breadth of South Africa.
I myself was a delegate from the Congress of Democrats. The Congress of Democrats represented the whites who were prepared to stand side by side with the other liberation movements. The slogan of the Congress of the People was a delegate from every town, every suburb, and every village. And of course there were even more than that, because the factories elected delegates, and every little group of people, everywhere that one had a meeting, people put forward their demands, which were to be incorporated in the Freedom Charter. And these were then sent up to head office in Johannesburg. And people mainly, their main demand, their biggest demand was against the pass laws, because it was at this time that the government was trying to extend them to African women as well. And it was the biggest gripe, as it still is in South Africa. And besides the pass laws, there was Bantu education, which had been introduced a few years earlier. There was high rents. There were all the different things, forced removals, many different issues that affected the people.
Our aim was to get the demands of the people of Soweto of how they would like to live in South Africa. At that time, our campaign was to mobilize women to resist against the pass laws. And of course we got tremendous support from women in particular, because they knew already the sufferings of pass laws. Many women had their husbands arrested, their sons arrested, and some of them had their sons or husbands dying in the farm labor camps only because of having been arrested for a pass. But at the same time, we had also to campaign against the removal that was to take place, that was the removal of the western areas by the Nationalist Party. This campaign brought
there was excitement, jubilation. There was ululation of women singing of freedom songs. Cliptown became a different place. Everywhere you looked, there were black faces, brown, white faces. It was really a place in which the fate of South Africa was going to be decided.
Well, June the 25th, 1955 is one of the most memorable days in my life, I think, because it's one of the most memorable days in the history of South Africa. And it was a day which became something like everybody's birthday. Everybody wanted to be there. They wanted to see what was happening, how it was going to happen, what action the police would take, if any, what our reaction would be. It was just the most marvelous occasion. It's something that I've always been able to look back on with great pride and also with great joy.
I remember that when we got to the Congress of the People, we're in our hundreds because we're the mostly affected people around western areas. And we came in busloads, and hundreds of us were carrying placards and singing and carrying the African National Congress flag. And of course our demands were included. And to us this meant a lot because here we were a community which was threatened with houses being demolished, schools being closed. This is how we saw the Congress.
The police surrounded everybody and decided that the Congress must disperse. But the work of the Congress was completed long before the police came. We had achieved what we wanted.
Now this Freedom Charter enshrines in its clauses the aspirations of all sections, of all strata of the people of South Africa, black and white. Whether it be mine workers or rural workers, farm laborers, small peasants, workers in industry, in the factories, all had, whether you are intellectuals, teachers, professional men, small businessmen, and even some bigger commercial men among the black people, that the clauses of the Freedom Charter enshrine in it their aspirations for a free, democratic South Africa, which will bring to an end, absolute end, racialism and racial oppression, is what the Freedom Charter stands for. And that document is as valid today as it has been when it was adopted in 1955.
It was June 26 at about 4 o'clock when actually the people adopted the Freedom Charter. The South African police, the army, converged and surrounded the people, the Congress. And of course, as usual, our people were calm, dignified. The fascist police came, surrounded the whole area. And of course, they were carrying guns, weapons. They moved towards the platform and they cocked their guns. The people started singing liberation songs. And of course, at this time, you cannot avoid to remember some of the gallant activists, workers of the African National Congress. I've got in mind here great women like Aida Mtwana. When the police came, she started a song and the whole Congress joined in.
It created out of the people of South Africa one nation in one country with one leader. It was a recognition of this great leadership which drew the attention of the international community to the great prominence of Chief Luthuli, resulting in his being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for 1960. The banning of the African National Congress, the banning of Albert Chief Luthuli, the banning of all the leaders, that was an opportunity lost. Indeed, the violence that followed 1959, Sharpeville, more arrests of people who were remotely associated with politics. Some of them had participated 15 years earlier, but not since. They're all locked up. In doing so, the South African government was consolidating a new level of resistance to its criminal policies, a level which embraced armed conflict. They created that. They forced us into it. And now we are in this era. I'm afraid they have not yet learned their lesson. But the Freedom Charter is there. It was vindicated by the discharge of the accused in the treason trial. It was shown that our movement was in the interests of the future of the people of South Africa. Since then, we have had the Soweto massacre, also followed by the bannings of organizations. In all this, a new unity is being consolidated, greater determination. Today, we are calling for the unity not only of the people of South Africa, of all races and colors, but indeed there is a unity of the people of Southern Africa. There is even a unity of the people of all Africa, a unity of the world community in its opposition to the apartheid regime. We surely cannot lose this war.
hamba
kahle mkhonto wemkhonto mkhonto wesizwe
hamba
kahle mkhonto wemkhonto mkhonto wesizwe
thina
thina babomkhonto sizimisele ukuwabulala wona amakhulu
thina
thina babomkhonto sizimisele ukuwabulala wona